This is Caped Future. Where you guys want to go with this, completely up to you. So you guys are going to break into groups. You guys have 15 minutes starting right now. You're going to write a, let's see what I put in announcements. You are going to write a synopsis about the climax and resolution. Okay? Remember, the final assignment are coming up next. You guys are going to write the first act of your screenplay, but also coming up next is you're going to write a synopsis and explanation of the climax and resolution. So pretty much act 2 and act 3, okay? So you guys are getting a jab at doing that right now. Write a synopsis about act 2, because remember, the climax is always in act 2, and the resolution. This is called what? A mind what? Mind map. Mind map. You can go with branches or you can go with bubbles. And the point of a mind map is to organize. Well, not really. It's not going to look organized at all. But ultimately, you're getting all your ideas out on paper, either digitally or old school way, writing it down. Students are getting into groups and they are writing the synopsis for Act 2 and Act 3 of Caped Future, a short 3-page script I wrote this summer. But the script doesn't offer tone or theme or genre. So they get to make it up right now as they conclude the stories. So they're doing a really good job breaking it down, and then they're going to present. We're put into groups. We read a screenplay that I wrote called Caped Future, but there's no clear theme or genre or tone, and they are now coming up with their own synopses for the climax, which is found in the second act, and the resolution, the third act. This is getting them ready for their next assignments that are due. Guys, what's the new word that we learned today? Denouement. And what does it mean? Resolution. Tying up all the plot points together in a satisfying way. Everybody's working together in teams. I love it.
You're like, yeah, I know.
All right,
we're not into this.
We're learning. How do we pronounce this word, guys? Denouement. And how we don't always have a thorough ending or a conclusion or a tying up of all the plots. And you guys are saying, in recent memory, a movie that did this was The Beekeeper, Jason Statham. It was unsatisfying. You guys wanted to see Jason Statham with the cop at the gravesite.
That's his thought process. I would think it was just kind of like wrap up everything and kind of explain what just went down at that location, because what just happened in the movie was there was an assassination attempt on the president, and it just ends with him just disappearing. I'm like, what? It doesn't resolve what just happened with that.
So I want you guys to keep that feeling. And for those of you who haven't seen The Beekeeper yet, I want you to remember, it might be artistic and fun for you as a writer to not tie up your ending, but your audience doesn't want that all the time. All right, go for it, guys.
Okay, so after receiving a call from Susan, he makes his way to the baseball field located in downtown Phoenix.
Yes.
There's a minor league active baseball game occurring on the field. Player 1 is standing in the stands, looking out over the large stadium, wondering where the bomb could be and waiting for the cops to arrive on scene.
At a time, we definitely did not finish, but
oh man,
don't worry about it. We gonna give it to you.
All right,
I'm excited to see what you did.
All right.
The wires, in order to defuse the bomb, he has to read, but he has dyslexia.
Synopsis, please.
Synopsis? Okay. So this first part is really long because I didn't realize what the timing was. It continues to go to 0, so he like winces, expecting it to go off, but it doesn't. Instead, a balloon floats out with a phone tied to it, and the phone is ringing. Player 1 looks at the man and says, "Hello there, Player 2." This is
oh my
how
gosh!
I envisioned the family reunion happening. So it's actually his brother.
Crazy. All right, so is that the end?
Yeah, that's the. I should. That's
awesome. All right, so somewhere other than Evan, what is the tone? Short paragraph. The short paragraph is trying to tell us that a good story has a satisfying ending. You might not explain what happened to the girl in the yellow Mercedes who had a line of dialogue saying, "I sure hope we make it out." But maybe that doesn't matter because your main players or the main story was wrapped up in a satisfying way. All right, guys? So we looked at a few movies like Interception where the open ending is obvious. All right, guys. So,
Definitely sounded like he was gonna help us.
okay, so I'm presenting this to you guys as the trailer for a new movie that is practicing breaking the fourth wall all throughout. But what's something interesting that you notice about this movie based on what I told you about breaking the fourth wall?
He's not looking at the camera.
Nobody has looked at the camera whatsoever. Are you guys suggesting that it could go either way?
Yeah.
We could watch the movie and it could be that the character breaks the fourth wall or not?
I can go either way.
We're ready, guys.
So for our synopsis, Player 1 gets sent on a mission to defuse a bomb in the city. It is a fake bomb that springs confetti. The real bomb goes off across the street where the agency is.
Oh!
Player 1 is the last known player alive as players 2 through 33 die.
Oh my gosh!
He then uses his spy gadget and traces the original call.
So, where did you get this kind of inspiration from this?
Yeah, because that was pretty
Because
fast.
in my opinion, from what we got from the screenplay, this was just an arrogant kid who had, he was player 1, he has gadgets, he wants money for his college. How did we get from this kid that's arrogant of his abilities to he wants to conquer the world?
Well, I kind of came up with it because knowing everyone probably in here was going to go to a hero route.
Okay.
Everyone was going to do a hero route. So it's like, okay, let's change it up a little bit. Second, in the script, it was kind of seems like he's been doing this for a while because it's like, oh, let me see if he's there in the script. So seeing that like he's been doing this for a while, he's been doing all this, and he doesn't get that much money from it. If he's still scanning for pennies and things like that so I'm like, he might be sick and tired of this. Like, I'm not making enough. I'm not doing this. So why don't I just let it happen?
Okay, interesting. JQ, Sam, Cameron, what is the genre of this?
Kind of, I guess, kind of an action, but kind of like an action drama. I kind of saw this more as like since it just was we only had 3 pages of it. I kind of saw it more of a TV show than a movie.
Where this mysterious voice on the phone reveals himself to be the mastermind of the bomb threat. Taunting player 1 with the detonator for the bomb, he tells player 1 he wants to fight for it. As revealed in his monologue, he was once player 1 and wishes to beat the current player 1 for his ego. Player 1 is simply a code name that is given by the organization.
Yeah. All right, clap it up. Great job, guys. Great job.
Deadpool is using some broken crayons to draw.
In a very old movie, I can't tell you, but it does rhyme with Wolverine.
Is breaking the fourth wall only reserved for comedy?
No.
Is it usually found in comedy?
Yes.
Can you guys give me an example of when you found breaking the fourth wall in a movie that was genred other than comedy? So we're talking about the point of no return in Captain Cassette, and you're saying the point of no return for you is when Captain Cassette accepts the mission to go to Planet Zoo. Everybody else says the point of no return is when he's captured. So go ahead and defend why you think it's when he goes on the mission.
I want to use the example from earlier where you showed us speed. He wouldn't exactly be on that mission or within that kind of journey if he didn't accept it from the beginning. So that's why I think it's when he accepts the mission, essentially.
I like it. What do you guys think?
Oh, but you see, the thing is that he could just straight up leave. Like, there's nothing legitimately keeping him there.
But isn't it his job?
Isn't it
It is
also
his
an
job.
unprotocoled mission? I think he also mentioned that this protocol says I shouldn't even be here or something.
So he doesn't
So in a way, he
have
could
to
just
be
leave.
there. The reason why it's a point of no return that he's captured is because if he tries to leave, then they'll just straight up kill him.
We watched Escape from Velocity. We made sure that it had all of these elements to make a strong Act 1. We watched the video from Pixar explaining what makes a strong Act 1. And then we are going to be doing our reading to make sure that we are able to establish a strong Act 1. Okay, raise your hand if you think IMAX serves a purpose.
Especially though, because
Raise your hand if you think IMAX doesn't serve a purpose. All right, Jay, let's hear from you. What are your ideas on IMAX?
You sound like Jane.
Jay.
Oh, JQ. Oh, okay. So I just feel like it depends. Like if it's an action movie, maybe.
If it's an action movie, then IMAX makes sense.
Yeah, but if it's just like a comedy movie, like with a grounded story or something simple,
Then it doesn't make sense. Okay, Aiden.
So, which you where I was with, there's definitely a reason to watch this specific film in IMAX. more specifically, there's always a reason to watch a Christopher Nolan film in IMAX, because Christopher Nolan is kind of unique. He makes 2 copies of every movie he makes, one for normal release and streaming services, but then he always makes a copy of every film he does in 65 by 70 millimeter film stock, which is designed specifically for IMAX. So you will actually be getting a different experience by watching it in IMAX than the one you'll get streaming. It's like, it's gonna be bigger, more visually impressive, not just because it's on IMAX, but because it is on a film stock that is actually designed to be displayed on IMAX.
I have an interesting dialogue about Tenet. Why do you guys like the movie Tenet?
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
All right, go ahead, Quentin.
I feel like compared to other movies, I mean, even with Christopher Nolan, it was kind of up his alley with just very like an unconventional way of storytelling. And like, I apologize if anybody hasn't seen the movie, but just the way they do time travel is pretty unique compared to like, say, Back to the Future or Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Your job. 2 years I invested myself in it. You couldn't understand the kind of commitment that I have. You're in a man's life's work, and you think you can walk away. You got blinders on to the world. But I got your attention now, didn't I, Jack? Why didn't you just come out to me?
Okay, Cameron, ask me that question again.
Like, can you ask a person who's outside, who's not on that landline, call a different landline?
Yes.
Okay, because I've never really called a telephone booth in the outside because never had a reason to.
Right. You wouldn't pick the phone up either?
No.
It just makes sense.
You need to say, like earlier, oh, the killer always calls after he makes an explosion or something like that. You need to give him a reason to want to pick up the phone, because otherwise, as far as he knows, as far as his knowledge is concerned, it's just a phone ring.
This bus explode. He's trying to figure out what's going on. No survivors, and then you hear a phone ring. It's like there's no coincidence that this landline phone is now ringing right after the bus explodes. Granted, how he heard the ringing,
No, Jeremiah, you get it. Leave it right there. You get it. All right, go ahead, Cameron.
I was wondering, how loud does those phones actually ring?
Suspension of disbelief.
Yes.
What is the suspension of disbelief?
No one is called cops.
The suspension of disbelief is when a story is so good, an audience no longer adheres to reality. So what we're talking about, we're trying to find out, are there any contemporary popular movies that don't adhere to these things being in Act 1? Learn about beginnings and endings today. Beginnings and endings, and we're using Escape from Velocity.